This week on The Gadget Show, I conduct some extreme nighttime testing to find the world's best torch. Susie celebrates the gadget that can actually make you money, the metal detector. We show you how to experience high-definition TV right now, and Tom Dunmore visits some very clever websites. But first, where on earth is Jason?
Poncy futuristic buildings. A trendy water feature. A big tower with satellite dishes and aerials. I must be in a science park, and this particular one is home to the most advanced telecommunications research centre in Europe. It's BT's Research and Development Lab, and the Gadget Show have got an exclusive all-day pass to go behind the scenes. Traditionally, this is how most of us interface with our technology, the good old QWERTY keyboard, invented, interestingly enough, to slow you down, not make you type quickly, so that you wouldn't jam up the mechanical keys on an old typewriter. So it's not a very efficient way of interfacing with your gadgets. It's pretty bland, pretty emotionless. And so here at BT, they're working on new ways of making that process more enjoyable and simpler. And you don't get more simple than this. The digital media album. Now imagine that you've got thousands of photographs on your computer hard drive, and the process of finding the one you're after can be rather complicated. All you do with this device is attach them all to an object.
When you place that object on the sensor, in this case a wedding ring, it identifies the shape, colour and weight of the object. Then you're able to tell the computer to link this specific object with specific information on your computer, in this case wedding photos. So when you put the ring on the sensor next time,
voila, up come the wedding photographs. But it's not just photos that a device like this can enable.
You can also link to other media and websites. A model of Steven Gerrard, for example, could take you to a Gerrard fan site. A little R2-D2 connects you to the Star Wars Galaxy's online game. And I think that's where this technology will lead, linking stuff you buy to relevant websites. So when you buy your kids a toy and place it on a sensor, it'll open a whole host of online goodies. I can hear marketing types everywhere just chomping at the bit. These days, the amount of information we have to absorb every day is enormous, and seeking it out can be pretty stressful. A lot of people, including BT though, are working on ways of delivering that information to us in a gentler, more emotionally pleasing way. It's a concept called ambient technology, and it's going to be big.
Believe it or not, this object can tell you what the weather's like outside, what the traffic's like on your route to work, whether your eBay item has sold or whether a friend's waiting on instant messenger. And it's part of a mini revolution of ambient objects that are trying to make the information delivered to you in traditional terms via email or SMS far more personal. This particular object uses a light matrix as a display. So unlike normal words on a page, it's not straightforward, it's more abstract. So if, say, you've got a stock option and your stocks go up, you'll get a particular shape that you recognise as good news coming up on the screen. It can actually announce the weather. And bearing in mind that this thing is a prototype, I'm hopefully now going to show you that in action. Here we go.
Weather forecast.
Fantastic. So you can see it's just lit up. A voice has said weather forecast. Did you get that in your sound there? Bring your mic nice and close so that when I wave over it, you can hear it. This is very exciting. So this device has just received note that there is a weather forecast available on my computer, so my server somewhere else in the house, and via my own Wi-Fi network, it's magically and wirelessly received that information. All I've got to do now, hopefully, if it works, is wave my hand over it and we should be able to receive the weather. Here we go.
Today will be cold and windy, with a maximum temperature of 3 degrees C.
It's Star Trek.
The idea is that an ambient device can be configured to deliver whatever information you wish to get. These ambient flowers, for example, have been configured so each stalk represents a member of my family.
I've been keeping in touch with all the people on this side, hence why the bulbs are glowing bright and the stalks are up. But this little chap, that's Uncle Fred. Unfortunately, I haven't talked to him about 3 months, and so you can see the stalk is right down there. If I was to contact him, not obviously on this device, but on my normal computer or mobile phone, when I got home, I'd find that it had slowly risen.
Pretty impressive. But I think I've saved the best till last.
One of the concepts they're working on here is the idea that you can make gadgets in your house spring to life just by paying them attention, just by looking at them. And this is one such piece of kit. It's called the moving portrait. As you can see, it's a normal digital picture frame with a picture of a little girl on it, but it's got a camera up there just above it. Now, if I were to stand in front of it and look at the little girl, she should spring to life. There's a screen on the side there, so hopefully you'll see the software tracking my face. And if I give her the proper amount of attention, I should get a reaction. See if it works. There you go. Hello. Fantastic. And just so you know that this isn't a sham, I'll just avert my gaze so that I'm still in front of her, but I'm not looking at the little girl. And there you go. She puts her hands back in front of her face. I then turn and give her my full attention, and there she goes. And you see, the longer I stand here, the longer I give the little girl in the picture my attention, look, she's making me laugh now, the more feedback I get. There you go, she's happy now. So the idea is that by paying your gadgets attention, you get more from them, more information, more feedback.
With stuff like this possible right now, it makes you wonder what on earth we'll see a few years down the line. Well, join me later and you'll find out, when I get to pick the brain of BT's futurologist, a man whose job is nothing more demanding than prophesying the future.
Now it's time for one of our regular guides aimed at helping you get the most from your gadgets. This week, how to see high-definition TV right now. This spring, we'll finally see the start of high-definition TV broadcasts right across Britain. Sky will start transmitting in a couple of months, and Telewest will follow suit soon after. But if you're chomping at the bit with your HD TV ready and waiting, what are the ways you can watch super crisp, high-def material right now? Why not make high-def home movies? Our favourite camcorder is Sony's HC1. A simple button flicks it over into high-def mode, which will happily record luscious pictures onto standard mini-DV tapes. Hook it up to a high-resolution display, sit back, relax, and enjoy the view of your own high-def footage. Now, there is a little-known Belgian channel called HD1, currently broadcasting high-definition programming, mostly concerts and a bit of minority interest sport. To get it here, you'll need a new dish and decoder. Eurosat reckon they can get you up and running for about £500. £500 is quite a lot, but you can experience high-def for free on your computer. There's a large choice of free clips on the internet. Check out Apple's QuickTime and the Windows Media Player pages. You will need a fairly fast computer, though, to handle the footage smoothly, and, of course, a high-definition display. Something with at least 720 horizontal lines. Of course, if you haven't got all the equipment, there's nothing stopping you browsing in your local TV shop to get a big, fat close-up of high-def. The best shops are all running HD displays, and once you've seen the detail, the sharpness, and the vibrant colours, we're certain you'll be hooked.
Now, torches. Here's one I bought yesterday from Poundland. In case that retail concept needs explaining, it cost me £1. It's perfectly adequate, but obviously, for us gadget lovers, it's useless. We need a torch we can be proud of.
And traditionally, that's meant one thing: a mag light, arguably the most iconic torch in the world.
Here's a typical treasured example. It belongs to our producer, who loves it so much he goes painting in the dark. It's got the satisfying on-off switch and the trademark Maglite focusing beam, which you adjust with this ring at the front here. It's very solid, it runs on ordinary batteries, and a pristine new example will cost you about 25 quid. But I've got bad news for you if you think the Maglite is the ultimate torch. Lovely design though it is, it's a sort of VW Beetle in a world of Porsches, Ferraris and Pagani Zondas. That's the world we're entering into tonight. Welcome to the realm of the super torch.
You won't find these at your local Woolworths. These are serious torches used by serious people, and to demonstrate them we've recruited the SAS. The SAS paintballers from Codsall Wood near Wolverhampton. Let's start with the one that's actually standard issue, I'm told, for the real SAS, the £170 Night Ops Gladius. Unlike the Maglite, it runs on lithium batteries, which are much lighter, and it uses an LED bulb, which is much brighter and longer lasting. Plus, there's a scratch-resistant glass, not plastic lens at the front.
It weighs just a few ounces and there's this collar to stop it rolling around and to give you a firm grip. But the exciting bits of the torch are controlled by this 4-position rotary switch at the back. On position 1, it's push on, release off. Position 2 is an opponent disabling strobe. Position 3 is constant on, constant off. And if you hold it depressed, it cuts the light in steps down to 1/400th of the output to conserve the battery power.
If the Gladius isn't bright enough, military enough, or expensive enough for you, how about this? It's the £300 Surefire Millennium Special Operations M6 Guardian. It uses no less than 6 lithium batteries. Incidentally, the best way to buy these is over the internet. Then they cost under £2 each, rather than the £5 or so supermarkets charge.
It's 3 times brighter than the Gladius. You can actually feel the heat from the xenon halogen lamp. And it's made out of brutally tough aluminium. Indeed, the lamp assembly is so tough that it'll allegedly withstand the repeated recoil of a high-caliber weapon. Should be handy if you drop it. Like the Gladius, it's controlled from the back. Twist the cap in for constant on, ease it back for momentary on and off, and twist it back again for permanent lock off. Vital in covert operations, or indeed when you're carrying it around in the car.
And to complete our set of ultimate torches, we have a Maglite. But no ordinary Maglite. They also make an ultimate torch. It's the catchily named rechargeable system, selling for around £115.
Like the standard Maglite, it has a chunky on-off switch and a focusing beam. But unlike the ordinary Maglite, it has a bright halogen bulb, a glass lens, and a massive rechargeable battery, albeit one that takes a frustrating 16 hours to charge and comes with a rather primitive-looking charger. It's also water-resistant. Although it's not overtly military, I reckon you could do a burglar some serious damage with something this big and heavy and dazzling.
So, 3 mighty fine, mighty butch torches. But which is best? To find out, I've set up a rather fun test using 3 women, 1 bed, and some very accurate paintballers. Join me later to find out which of our super torches comes out on top.
That hurt! Ow!
We're all familiar with awards like the BAFTAs, the Brits and the Oscars, which tell us what's hot and what's not in the world of entertainment. But have you heard of the Yahoo Finds? These celebrate the very best of what's hot on the internet, and I'm here to help judge this year's awards. Categories include celebrity, entertainment and innovation, and what we're looking for is site design, relevance and that all-important wow factor. As well as me, the judging panel consists of other journalists, Yahoo staff and the winner of last year's People's Choice Award. Here are 4 of my favourites from the shortlist. First up is Live Plasma. Now this is described as a discovery engine, and the idea is that it recommends you music and movies based on what you already know and already like. What's great about it is that the interface is really, really slick. So I'm just going to give you an example. I'm going to type in Madonna. It will draw a map of artists that are similar to Madonna and artists that have been recommended by other Madonna fans. So if we have a look, you can see Madonna is surrounded by Justin Timberlake, Jennifer Lopez, Britney Spears, all the sort of pop artists you'd expect. And each of them has their own bubble. The bigger the bubble, the more recommendations they've got. My only slight gripe is there's not a lot of information in there and you don't get a lot of surprises thrown up, but it's still definitely worth a look. Next up is Art.com's ArtPad. This is a digital canvas that allows you to create your own paintings and drawings within your browser. Again, it's really nicely designed. As you can see, it looks just like a piece of paper, and you can choose colours and brushes and create your masterpiece. If, like me, your talents aren't necessarily up to creating your own masterpiece, then don't worry. What you can do is choose other people's paintings and add to them. Once you've created your picture, you can then go and hang it in the online gallery. There you go, it's there and looks, I think you'll agree, quite fantastic. Art.com is a beautifully designed website, but what I really like about it is the fact that it allows you to be creative, and there aren't many websites out there that do that. HunterCeleb.com pretty much does what it says on the tin. You choose your least favourite famous face and give them a good whacking. There's a vast selection of famous faces to choose from, and you can even keep track of the world's least favourite celebrities through the weekly top 20. You can even keep track of how many punches have been landed on each famous head. The only disappointing thing is that when you punch people, they don't bleed or die. But my favourite site of the lot has got to be netdisaster.com. This allows you to go to any website that you like and vandalise it. Now, so as not to upset anybody, I'm going to use the Gadget Show site. And I'll choose a disaster and go for Mars attacks. Click go. It will load up the Gadget Show website, and as soon as it does, along come the UFOs to destroy everything that's on it. Now, the great thing about Net Disaster is you get a huge variety of disasters to choose from. There's chainsaws, there's fire, there's meteors. It's really endless. It's a great way to vent your frustration against those sites that really annoy you, or just de-stress at the end of a long day. So go and check it out and see what mischief you can cause. All the winners of the Yahoo Finds Awards have now been announced. And if you're interested, the full list can be found on the Gadget Show website at 5.tv/Gadget Show.
Now it's time for a Gadget Show tribute to the technology that can be bought for £50 but could earn you millions. I'm talking about the treasure hunter's friend, the metal detector. And I think I'm onto something. The original metal detector was invented in 1881 by Mr. Telephone himself, Alexander Graham Bell.
It took another 50 years before a handheld metal detector was patented. It proved invaluable during the Second World War, being used to clear minefields and search for hidden weapons and lost bombs. After the war, metal detecting continued on Britain's booby-trapped beaches. 10 years of military development meant that the detectors were now relatively light and inexpensive. Before long, metal detecting began to emerge as a leisure pursuit. A whole new breed of anorak-clad hobbyists appeared, methodically pacing up and down Britain, pursuing their dreams of hidden treasure.
All metal detectors, including the one built by Bell and the ones that you go through airport security for that matter, work using exactly the same principle. At the bottom of the metal detector, there are two coils of wire, the transmitter and the receiver. When you send electricity round the coils, it creates an electromagnetic field. That gets sent into the ground by the transmitter, and then if it hits some metal, it bounces back and is detected by the receiver. And that's when you get the beep.
Of course, what you find depends on the type of detector that you're using. There are hundreds available on the market today, ranging from £10 to £2,000. £60 will get you a good budget detector to get you started. This one is light, has decent motion technology, can be used either inland or on the beach, and simply beeps when it finds something.
Like an old tin can.
Spend another £100 though, and the detector gets more sophisticated. This one lets you choose the type of metal you're looking for, then tells you what you found and how far down into the ground it is.
Well, it's telling me that 6 inches down there should be some coins. So, oh, shush. Let's have a look. What's that? That's a bullet, but that wasn't 6 inches down. That was about 2 inches down. Let's see if it was telling me about that. Let's give it another go. Yeah. So that wasn't quite right, but it sort of gets you in the right vicinity.
But the ultimate metal detector is this, the GTI 2500. This is the daddy of all detectors. It can detect targets at depths other detectors can't reach, using a special deep-seeking detection mode, even announcing what it finds.
Now what I like about this one is this display. It's like a sonar system and it builds a picture of the item, and it tells you, if you press this button, Treasure Imaging, how far down the item is, 2 inches down, and how big it is. Now it's saying that it's no bigger than a coin, so it's probably not really worth digging for that one, so let's move on.
Metal detecting is actually banned in France and Sweden in an attempt to protect important archaeological sites from blundering hobbyists. But in the UK, you can dig anywhere where you've got the landowner's permission.
I didn't find anything.
A huge amount of treasure has been uncovered by detectorists over the years. But the biggest find of all was the Hoxton Hoard of Norfolk. Eric Laws was trying to find a mate's metal hammer, and he stumbled across the biggest ever collection of Roman artefacts, netting himself an impressive £1.75 million.
Now, in Britain, we have what's known as the Treasure Act, which states that if you do find something considered to be treasure, i.e. something really old or something really valuable, then by law, you have to report it. If it's significant enough, then the British Museum will probably buy it, and you get to split the proceeds with the landowner. This is a gadget that could make you a millionaire. And you can't say that about an MP3 player, can you?
This is Ian Pearson, and he's a prophet. No, really, he is. Well, actually, he's a futurologist. One of a few highly respected experts around the world paid to predict just what our technological future will look like. So, listen carefully, because what he's got to say is fascinating. And also, he talks quite quickly.
There are technologies like active contact lenses coming along in the 5 to 10 year time frame, where you don't need a computer display, you don't need a high definition TV. We can do all of that with contact lenses living on the surface of your eyes with tiny little lasers embedded in those, which raster scan an image straight onto your retina. So you get a really high resolution, full 3D display, which you can do virtual reality and augmented reality and TV and computer games and your email and your field of view. You can do anything at all with that sort of stuff. It's a completely universal display.
So people that aren't familiar with the phrase augmented reality, it's essentially, it's like virtual reality, but you're putting information into the real world.
Yeah, I've heard it's described as turning virtual reality inside out, where you're taking the virtual reality out of the computer and merging it with the real physical world. So you're walking around town, you're actually taking part in some geographic computer game. You know, people are already doing this with Pac-Man. You know, they're running around dressed in Pac-Man costumes, using GPS positioning to find each other and do the actual stuff. Yeah, so I mean, that sort of geographic game where you're merging the real world with virtual reality. Yeah. And eventually you'll superimpose images and stuff on that to make it look much more interesting. So you'll see dragons and things chasing you down the street and things. And it'll become much more interesting doing your shopping.
One thing I'm interested in is, where does the power for all of these gadgets come from? Is it possible that in the long term that there could be some form of power projection, so wireless power?
We're gradually getting used to using induction as a power supply. With electric toothbrushes, you just drop it in a unit, you don't have to connect any cables, it just uses induction. You've got your electronic coffee table, which is an inductive loop, and anything you drop on the coffee table will automatically be charged up or powered. There's the other side where you're talking about large-scale power projection. People are talking about putting satellites in orbit with enormous solar power arrays where they're gathering gigawatts of solar power and then use a microwave beam to beam that power down to Earth. So yes, you can project the power, and then you've got some sort of microwave gathering device on the surface. You just have to feel sorry for any pigeon that gets in the way.
So you don't want to be a bird flying
you don't want to fly through that beam.
OK, so now deep into the future. So, between, I don't know, 10 and 50 years' time. So, just the kind of final stages of our lifetimes. What are the big ideas that you're playing with?
The really big ideas in the long term are connecting our brains and our nervous systems directly to the computer network. And people are already messing about with that technology. It's called NBIC convergence. It's nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive technology. So we're gradually doing more and more neuroscience. We're figuring out how your brain works. We're starting to make links between chips and nerves already, so that if you're paraplegic, you can control the curtains just by thinking, I want the curtains to shut, and some device will make it so just by thinking about that. We're starting to see computer games where you can steer a guy down a slalom course just by thinking left, right, up and down, and the computer can understand those thoughts. In the 20, 30-year time frame, we should be able to connect directly to the nervous system, and in the 40-year time frame, we should be able to connect directly to the brain and download thoughts directly from the brain and put thoughts directly back in. Now, if we get to the point where you can do a full mind download, you've got a backup. And, death isn't a major career problem anymore.
Wow.
You just buy an Android before you die, upload your mind onto there, and you carry on as if nothing had happened. You go to your own funeral, say goodbye to the body, and carry on.
So, when you actually become an android, remember, you heard it here first.
Time for another break now, but still to come tonight, I'm putting super torches to the test with some rather painful nighttime testing. Now, back to torches and some nighttime testing to decide which is the best Gadget super torch in the world. Here's a reminder of the three contenders. The £115 rechargeable Maglite is sleek, black and beautifully simple. This is a torch with an impeccably desirable bloodline. The £300 Surefire Millennium M6 Guardian is marketed in the States as a defence tool for worried householders. Its blinding light can disable hostile intruders. And our final contender is the £170 Gladius Night Ops. It's got a whole host of clever tricks up its sleeve, and that's possibly why this is apparently the one used by the SAS. So, three very impressive, very desirable bits of kit, but which is best? Well, that's what we've set up our test to discover.
Each of our lady volunteers is equipped with a different torch. They start the test in bed with their TV husband Colin over here. They wake up with a serious case of the munchies and have to navigate their way over to our makeshift kitchen using their torches and make themselves a piece of toast which they carry back to bed. But it's not as simple as that. Each drawer is numbered and the correct number is written on a tree 150 feet over there. If their torch isn't strong enough to read the number, they'll get the wrong one and be shot in the bottom by night vision equipped paintballer Lee. Also, the fuse in the toaster's broken and they've got to replace it by torchlight. And even worse, on their way back to bed, they're going to be shot at by another team of night vision equipped paintballers over here. And all they'll have for their defence is the dazzling power of their torches. And so that our TV lights don't give them any help, we're going to switch them all off and shoot it all on night vision.
3, 2, 1, go!
First up is Karen with the rechargeable Maglite. Her first problem is reading the number. The Maglite is only just bright enough.
Number 3 or number 2?
But after a lot of squinting, she gets it.
Number 3. Number 3.
Her next problem is holding the torch while working at the table.
Oh my days, how am I meant to change the fuse with this big torch?
At a foot long and a hefty £2, the Maglite may make a fine weapon, but most of us are more likely to use it for changing fuses than clobbering burglars.
God, how cumbersome is this? Yum yum pig's bum.
With toast in hand, Karen heads back to bed. But will the Maglite be bright enough to dazzle our highly trained paintballers? No.
That hurt. Ow!
Finally, Karen relaxes in bed with a good book to test just how long the Maglight's battery lasts from full charge. With 4 chapters read, the battery finally dies after a very acceptable 2 hours. Next up, it's Jess and the Surefire. With a beam that's nearly as strong as my car's headlight, she has no problem reading the number.
I can see it really clearly. It's a 3.
But when it comes to changing fuses and making toast, that beam's just too strong.
That's actually more of a hindrance than a help. Toasty.
And so to the gauntlet. Surely this'll dazzle those night vision equipped sharpshooters. Well, yes, except Jess gets lost in the trees, stops to look round and check where she is, and that gives our paintballers the chance they need. Feeling a bit sore, Jess finally makes it back to bed for some reading, except that beam's strength is working against her again.
Wow, it is really, really bright on these white sheets.
And all that power's draining the batteries, and they're dead after just 16 minutes. Now that's just ridiculous. Last up is Dion with the SAS favourite, the Gladius Night Ops. It's small and neat, but unfortunately for Dion, it's not quite bright enough to read a number 150 feet away.
It's either a 3 or a 2.
Which means she picks the wrong drawer.
Oh, God.
And... So, a poor start for the Gladius, but from here on in, it excels. It's small and light enough for Dion to hold it in her mouth while changing the fuse and making toast. And because she can dip the beam, she doesn't get dazzled like the others did. When it comes to running the gauntlet, Dion sets the Gladius to strobe to confuse her would-be attackers. And it works a treat. She climbs into bed without being hit once. Finally, because she can lower the beam to a fraction of its full power, the battery has the potential to last for up to 400 hours. That's over 2 weeks of constant use, and that's incredible. So, the Gladius is our winner. It's light, it's compact, it's got that lovely dimming light, the long battery life, and that SAS cachet. In fact, I want one. In fact, the producer wants one, the cameraman wants one, the sound man wants one, he wants one, and we've only got one. Excuse me, good night.
The Apple iPhone, and here it is.
Ooh, can I just take that from you? Thanks, Suze. This has got to be the most...
There's no gear shifting. It's simply forward and reverse.
Wow, there's